Hello, beautiful, sensual, slightly stroppy, sound, depth-defying, perhaps a little bit insensitive Leo. And we're here, yes, talking about you. These are cards I'm going to read for you later, and these will be available on Patreon. So if you'd like an extra reading to the psychic reading, it will be on Patreon. So thank you very much, Leo. Let's talk about you and this incredible, delicious time where you might feel very strong and very open, very optimistic, or just very righteous. And it also might make you feel left behind if you don't have enough connection, if you don't feel enough love, or if you don't feel enough sense, or if you are somehow feeling like you are undeserved, or you've been strengthening some parts of your life but you've been diminishing others. So for example, if you've been abstaining from fun, if you've been abstaining from love, if you've been sexually unidentified, or you've just not wanted to have all those beautiful things, this is the time where you might say, I want it all to come true now. I want it all to come true, and I want it all to be exactly what I want right here and now. But this is the thing, is unfortunately you might find that the partner that you picked is not sensually or emotionally developed enough for you. You might find that the situation that you're in is not comfortable or really that serene for you. You might understand that your needs have suddenly surfaced, but your unconscious is not yet able enough to voice it correctly or intact or in peace. So sometimes what happens with Leos is they can get very, very addicted to things that give them those things straight away. It is very easy here to have an affair, for example. It's very easy to want everything yesterday. It is also very, very easy and also kind of fine to talk to people about what you want and suddenly to re-identify much of your spectrum of pleasure, your spectrum of fun, your spectrum of control or charisma. It can all be very different, and you can suddenly laugh at yourself in the past for not having those things before. Laugh at your dad. You could very easily here, especially with your father figure, laugh at them. Or you could laugh at your mother. You could laugh at somebody who has not given you enough, or who has prevented you from experiencing the full spectrum of love that you feel that you have your finger on now. So try to not tantalize yourself with things too fast. It's like a stroppy child in the supermarket crying because mom is not buying the candy. So it's kind of like a very, very dark path that this could take for some of you guys, and me too, because I'm here Leo Ascendant in New York. So it can take a very dark path if you have suddenly deliciously decided that all of these things that you didn't know how to voice, and all these wishes that you didn't know how to make true, is what you deserve. So similar as for Gemini, prevent yourself from placing an invoice for things right now. You don't need to invoice people. You don't need to invoice other people energetically or psychically saying, I belong here, I want this, or I need this, or I need you to do more for me. That has to change. So if you have this new reevaluation of yourself and you've come to realize that you've always deserved so much more, maybe since you were a child you already knew what you wanted, and you had your finger on the pulse, and maybe you're looking at your last like 17 or 16, 17 years, and you're thinking, why did I even try to do all these different things when all I wanted was this, and it was all obvious to me? And suddenly the path becomes very curious and cute, and you understand, and you might want things ahead of time, or you might be seeing somebody or be in front of someone who has all that you thought you wanted within them, or within their spectrum of creation, or maybe the house that you're staying, or the country that you're visiting, or the money that you're making or think you can be making now. You can see that you can deserve much more, and perhaps it all comes and goes, and yet it makes sense. So like your tantrums or your needs might actually eventually lead you to greater things. That's the thing. But the unfortunate thing is that you can actually very much easily break your wings here. You can singe your wings here. It's like Icarus, the story of Icarus. The idea here, I feel, for you is to be soft, but try and make these voices inside of yourself heard. So for example, if you have a piece of paper and a pen and you say, I've always lived in the hills, like I've lived in this sad little town, and since I was 12 years old, I've always wanted to live in a metropolis, you know? And you think about it, and maybe a friend of a friend has something or a job for you in a big city, and you have to now here not be confused and not make anybody's fault that which you had. You know, for example, you spend the last 20 odd years plowing away, like having small time jobs, and suddenly you can see the metropolis sucking you in, or somebody having a much greater spectrum for you possible. Thing here is that if you rush towards it, where is your self-respect? You know? And respect is very important for Leo, and it starts with the self, of course, obviously. But also maybe consider how what you have in mind here, or what you're finally starting to open. It looks like you're starting to open the lid on what you actually really want. It is just really, really nice for all of us to maybe step away and let you do that. So you might want to do this alone. Or you might want to be grounded and still, because you can't maybe predict as to which way it's gonna go. But your wishes and desires might be able to push you further, or you can accidentally burn up. You can burn up, and you can also burn out. And why this is sometimes, you know, when you feel like you've hungered and you didn't even really know that you were hungry, and suddenly you experience this new phase of your life, and somebody or something gives to you, or you feel like it should give to you, that's something new, that's something obvious. There are some Leos that are going to just want new things, and then there are some of us that are going to actually just get those things in a package with like a pretty pink bow on top. And that has to be understood, and you have to pace yourself in such a way that you don't burn out. So it's like chop wood, carry water. There is a famous parable, a Chinese parable. What did you do before enlightenment? Chopped wood, carried water. What did you do after enlightenment? Chopped wood, carried water. So there is a feeling of enlightenment, enlightening here, and you can maybe either want to already be receiving that, which is much better for you, much more appropriate. But the thing here is to chop wood, carry water. So have your process, don't worry, don't fall in love. What I mean is, like, don't get ahead of yourself. If you are dating somebody new and they're exactly what you wanted, please don't make them suddenly your future wife or husband, because that's not the point. The point is just to evolve your continuum and your evolution spectrum, and maybe also stay in peace and stay in touch with where you were before. So don't forget where you're from. So thank you very much, Leo. Enjoy, and I will do a card reading for all of you too, and that will be available on Patreon. Thank you very much. Bye.